What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the In the Dome podcast. Is the pendulum swinging? Is that where we're at right now? Are we in the middle of a pendulum swing back to a nice little losing streak here? It's been the story of discussion throughout the season is, we're only 5 points out of the bottom 10. Oh shit, we're right in the wild card spot. There seems to be a lot of teams. The mid parity is strong this season. The mid parity is strong.
There's a lot of mid. There's a lot of mid going on.
There's a lot of mid going on.
Well, I was just looking at it because, we're keeping a pulse on the tank, and it's like, okay, we're 15th spot in the league by points, but we're also only like 8 points out of a bottom 5 pick. It's insane. So you've got this big grouping of teams like in the 40-point range, like Van, Boston, us, Tampa, St. Louis, Utah, Ottawa, Pitt, Columbus, even Montreal. It's just like a whole lot of mid going on.
You got a whole lot of mid. You got a whole lot of mid. So
forever mid.
Detroit right now is 10th last spot. So if the season were to end today, they would have, unless they moved up in the lottery, they would be picking 10th overall. They have 38 points. The Flames, who are a point out of the wild card spot, have 43. You're 4 points. You're 4 points out of bottom 10.
And we'd be picking 16th, right where we belong, baby.
Bottom
Montreal
five
picking 16th.
is bottom 5 is another 4 points. I mean, we talked about it on the last episode. What would it take in either direction? Yes, a 3-5 losing streak will get you in the bottom 10, but then they might probably get a rebound. So in essence, you need like a 8-game losing streak to solidify yourself back down there and make it hard for yourself to crawl back out. It's been the debate all season long. What do you hope for? And I think it just boils down to all you want. Ultimately, let the players do their thing. Let the coach do their thing. They should be trying to win. They shouldn't be trying to lose. But it's up to the general manager. It's up to Craig Conroy to continue making the right management decisions based on what the vision is. I mean, you threw out a big one last week. Shopping Rasmus Andersson around. If you really want to commit to this 3 to 5 year window and come out of this rebuild with some elite to semi-elite talent, that would make a whole lot of sense as a Rasmus Andersson trade. But even if that's not the case this season, you'd still like Craig to deal with. I mean, we talked about in the last episode. There's not much in return for a guy like Vladar and Kuzmenko. You're only 2 pending UFAs at the end of the season.
What are you going to get for Kuzmenko at this rate?
He's playing around with broken sticks. That was a tough game for him last night.
I mean,
he looked good. He was buzzing. It looked like he was going to get off the schneid last night.
They showed him in the penalty box with his head down, and I was just like, poor Kuzi, poor guy. Look at him. He's just like, oh. I'm sure he was fine, though.
No, he knows what possible feels like.
Yeah, man. Well, it's kind of this. It's a false dichotomy of like, because we did Afterburner last night, and people are kind of giving a shit for saying, well, you got to put Wolf in to win, and then also being like, well, we're on Team Tank. It's like, well, which is it? Do you want to win or do you want to lose? And I kind of see that sentiment out there when people are complaining about not playing Wolf. It's like, I thought you guys wanted to lose. Derp.
No, we've clarified this 100 times over. We want to be good when the general manager is saying we want to be good. All you can really do as fans is sometimes it takes a bit to get on board with the manager's vision. It's just like any business. You don't like the manager's vision? Well, you might want to find somewhere else to work, because if you don't buy in, it's going to be pretty unenjoyable to be there. So Connie trods out this whole, well, we're not going to fully call it a rebuild, even though he's acting like it's a full-on rebuild last season. So you kind of got to read between the lines a little bit. I think the consensus agreement is management's okay with committing to at least a 3-year window of not being in a playoff contention, working on getting good through the draft, which means selling off assets. So yeah, it's a fucking rebuild. Obviously, look, I don't mind that management's like, yeah, we don't want it to be a 10-year rebuild. Our goal is to do it quicker. It's never a bad thing to set your goals high. What's that old saying? Shoot for the stars, you may hit the moon or some shit.
Well, we need a flame saying for that, where it's like something to do with like mid. Shoot for like just above mid, and you might hit mid or something.
Yeah, shoot for squeaking in the playoffs. You might be mid your entire friggin' franchise history. We're mid. We're perpetually mid. So it's one of those things where, yes, okay, we're on board. We'll eat what Connie's laying out in front of us. We can get on board with that. And at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not on any team other than let's be good in 3 to 5 years. That's why a lot of times we come on this thing, we're like, well, why the fuck aren't you playing Wolf right now? Because you want to be good in 3 to 5 years, right? All your decision makings, all your lineup things should be with that goalpost in mind, that future in mind. We want to be developing Coronado. We are doing a good job. Still should play Mazzari. But that's ultimately where we're at. Is it not?
Yeah, and like really it honestly, like I know it does to the management, unfortunately, but it really shouldn't matter what the on ice result is this year or even next year, I don't think, in terms of the decisions Conroy's having to make. And I think that's what was ultimately the great part of last year, is even though they were kind of in it and maybe he was forced into this, he still had to make a lot of moves to move this team forward to where they want to be. And so when I say like, hey, you need to look at trading Rasmus Andersson, it doesn't matter that you're like kind of sniffing around a playoff spot right now.
No. Well, we've had this conversation. We've talked about this like the last 2-3 seasons too, because you've seen teams like Nashville, they're still selling off at the deadline and they still make the playoffs. This should be the Flames' MO this season. Let's continue to make those good management decisions based on our vision of 3 to 5, being good 3 to 5 seasons from now. And I know this pisses you off. This has been a thing with Brad Treliving when we had him for a decade. Okay, here's our vision. Oh, wait, no.
Yeah.
Shoot. Yeah. No, now we're going in this direction. Oh, shoot. Okay, now we're going back to, oh, shoot. It's just like every seat. You're in, you're out. You're in, you're out. You're perpetually mid. Is what.
Well, yeah, like this was Brad's
fucking vision.
Exactly. Go with it. And that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what happens on the ice. Like you can't be, if the management is swayed by like a slightly above expectations performance that ultimately maybe gets you 2 or 3 points out of the playoffs, if that changes your course, you're not going to make it, bro. We're not going to make it if that's going to change the course of the franchise. That's kind of was like Brad's thing, was like this kind of like, oh, I let the players decide. I'm going to let the players decide what we do. Oh, I have no.
Not my job. I don't make those decisions. That's the players.
Oh, I'm just going to be hands. Whatever the results bear out is what I'm going to do. So when we're really good, I'm not going to add players. When they're really bad, I'm not going to make sure. Oh, there's hands off. It was just like, oh my fucking God. Like,
Brad, how come you didn't add?
Not.
Brad, how come you didn't add? Oh, because I believe in this group.
Yeah.
Oh, so when you're going to add because you believe in the group, but then you're not going to add because you believe in the group. Okay.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Sounds like a lot of back and forth, changing your mind on the fly, not sticking to a vision.
So ultimately what you want to see from Craig is what you saw last season, which, and I mean, his hand was kind of forced. And I think that's why ultimately most of us are like, hey, it'd be better for this team to be in a position where they're in a bottom 10 spot, because then they would be forced to make some of these moves that we're all kind of nervous they won't make otherwise. It's kind of the same thing. We're worried they won't make the correct decisions unless they are forced to.
We're worried that they're going to...
Well, they're worried they're going to do maybe similar to what Nashville did this offseason, where like Nashville kind of set themselves up well, and we were like, yeah, those are some good moves. They're kind of in a
Let's
playoff
go
spot.
all in.
They're
We're
being
not gonna
real with
take one big swing. We're gonna take 5.
they were being real with themselves. Like, okay, we're trading off, and I think they almost made the playoffs. So they did make the playoffs that year. But then the next offseason, they were like, yeah, we're doing this quick, and we're gonna sign all these. It's like, look at where they are now. I'm not saying that's what the Flames are gonna do, but I'm saying if you get into that game of like, we can do it faster than everybody else, you'll see.
Yeah, Nashville is in
Never
way too.
works.
They're
You got to
still in
stick
way.
to it. You can't
Dude,
be
they're
veering
still.
from your plan 1 year. Like
Nashville, they can't climb out of this hole, dude. It's
oh
too
yeah,
big.
they're
Too
done.
big of a hole.
And dude, like it's
If
crazy.
not
It's
for
crazy. They traded that Askarov kid to San Jose, who's been phenomenal. Like they've made some really bad decisions this year. Really bad.
the bottom line is we shouldn't management. What we're saying here is management should not. They shouldn't even like they're. It's not even. Don't even get excited about being a bubble team.
Yeah.
Don't even think about getting excited about being a bubble team.
Nothing should change.
But then there's the other side of the argument, which is like, well, if you can squeak into the playoffs, the main thing is that keep doing what you're doing. I won't be disappointed if Craig doesn't deal Rasmus Anderson this season as long as he's not adding. Do not add a fucking thing.
Yeah.
Do not add a fucking thing. Keep doing what you're doing. If you make the playoffs, it's found money.
Yeah.
But you have to commit to your vision. Otherwise, you're going to be cycling back and forth in the hamster wheel for the rest of our eternity. I don't want to see that for the rest of my life as a Flames fan.
Well, and Francis mentioned it on intermission against, I think it was the Utah game, might have been the Vancouver game, where it was the Vancouver game. He was doing like his big, like, oh, New Year's Eve resolution predictions. And he was like, the Flames are going to make a big splash in the summer and spend a lot of their money. And they will sign, and he wants them to sign Rasmus Anderson to a $10 billion year contract. And I was just like, well, no to both of those things, please.
Okay, well, we got to bring this up too as part of the discussion and the argument. We'll get into how the week played out because it starts off with another Dustin Wolf win, another record-setting pace win, followed by a fucking going back to Dan Vladar. Which, let's be honest, man, you go up 3-2 versus Utah, you get back control over the game, and then you lose it in the third period. If Dustin Wolf is in that net, you
absolutely win. Yeah,
you tell me you don't win that game. Dustin Wolf's in net.
You win that game. I'm telling you, you do win that game.
So I want to bring this up just for the sake of argument and discussion, even though I'm going to default back to the sticking to your vision thing, but I want to bring this into the conversation too. Dustin Wolf. We've talked about this on this podcast before. Elliot Friedman talking about Johnny Gaudreau. He's the type of guy that gets you into the playoffs. Looks like Huberdeau might be cooling back off again, so maybe we're not going to be scoring at the pace we were in December. So maybe Dustin Wolf isn't like you lost 3-1 last night. Dustin Wolf was solid in the first period. You got into penalty trouble against the Preds. Your special teams lost you the game and inability to finish. You're going to score 1 goal against the Predators? You're going to score 1 goal against anybody in this league. You're likely going to lose the game. Doesn't matter how well Dustin Wolf performs. You can't ask him to get a shutout every single night. So, but I want to bring this up because you look at the month of December, and even though it's clear to the at least 80% of the fan base who the number one starter is, apparently it's not clear to the media and the coach. We'll get into Huska's comments regarding that matter, but Dustin Wolf is keeping you in that wild card race. He is. Kadri and Huberdeau have a good December, we'll see what they do in January. But the discussion point is Dustin Wolf elite enough? Is he becoming elite enough? And if he's not there yet, how soon is it where now it starts to make sense to add around this guy? That's where I'm at with this. Because if you have an elite goaltender, you've seen it before in this league. Having an elite goaltender can make you at least a bubble team year over year over year. You got all that cap space. Does Craig Conroy sit there and be like, you know what? I fucking believe in this guy, even though our head coach doesn't?
Hey, they've both been good. There's no separation.
We're
I have
right
no
there.
idea who's been the better goalie.
I mean, we've brought this point up countless times. If Kuzmenko has 10 goals, if Sharangovich has 5 more goals, that's 15 more goals scored. You probably won 3 to 5 more games. You're not hanging outside the wild card spot. You're hanging in the top wild card spot. So, I mean, if you're sitting there, if Dustin Wolf is going to keep doing what he's doing, there's no signs of him stopping it. You brought this up last week you brought this up, as now is the time. If you want to actually bank points and take, chasing a playoff spot seriously, you got to ride Wolf. If Dustin Wolf keeps doing what he's doing and he keeps you in these games and he keeps putting up these records and you're waiting games, does it make sense to add a 20-goal scorer to the roster? Or do you just kind of bank on, we have a 30-goal scorer in Kuzmenko if he could just fucking get his head on straight? But that's what I wanted to bring up, just pushing back on our own argument of stick to the vision. Because at what point does Dustin Wolf tip the scales in the other direction?
Well, I think I think you just have to put it in context. With the vision is still a shorter term vision than maybe most teams, where you're like a team like Detroit or Ottawa a few years ago, or Buffalo, or these teams who are embarking on these like 5, 6, 7 year rebuilds. Chicago right now, even when they get those elite talent, like it still takes, that much longer. With Wolf, with how the plan is currently being communicated to us, this is they say 3 to 5. Knowing the Flames, it's more 3. Like they want to be good in like 3 years. They want us to be a quick turnaround. So in my mind, like
this year,
that already, yeah, exactly. They wanted to be good last year. If they had their way, Brad Treliving would still be managing this team and everything would still be all the same. But 3 years is a pretty quick turnaround. And the team they've mentioned as kind of like a model has been Dallas. And I think that's really the team you would look at comparatively with Ottinger and Wolf too, right? Because what are the other comparables in terms of teams who have had elite goaltenders come in who have been probably the top prospect? Like maybe Demko in Vancouver, Ottinger in Dallas.
Oh, Shesterkin.
I
remember like Carey Price. Remember like without Carey Price, even Lundqvist back when the Rangers were squeaking into the playoffs, squeaking into the semifinals. Like the Montreal teams, even like having an elite goaltender can be something to build around. I know a lot of GMs. That's part of a lot of GMs' playbook. You build from the net out.
Oh, and you look at the Rangers are in shambles right now. I think maybe kind of surprisingly, but you kind of look at their timeline. When did Shesterkin play his first full season? He played 35 games in 2020, 2021, 53 the next year. So they kind of came out of their rebuild pretty quickly.
Because of him.
Not that they're a model franchise, but there are some examples of teams like, I think Dallas is the one that I look at the most and say like, because Ottinger showed up and, completely kind of turned them from a middling team to an elite team pretty quickly, right after that series where he had his insane, out of his mind, out of his skull play against us. And he was like, I think he was the same age as Wolf then. He was the same age then as Wolf is now when he was destroying us in the playoffs.
Well, and I've seen a lot of, this has been it's been the number one discussion this season, the Wolf and Vladar comparison and the decision on a nightly basis. But like last week, I saw people saying, yeah. And you just, even though it's clear cut as day, we'll get into more numbers today, even though we're repeating ourselves on this thing. But Dustin Wolf seems to repeat himself every week, so we got to keep talking about the new numbers. But people were saying, yeah, not only is it clear who the better goaltender is, and it's clear that the coaching staff and the Flames management as a whole, it's not clear to them, and the media sure as shit isn't clear. A lot of people are like, that if they do make the playoffs, it's Dan Vladar starting game 1.
Dude, I make that meme where it was like games. It'd probably be like games. The Flames would make it to the playoffs. It's game 7, and it's like Wolf had played game 6 and like got a shutout or something, pushed it to game 7, and Huska would be like, Vladar starting game 7 because you got to go back and forth. Just got both guys have made it. Got to go back and forth. That's totally what would happen, eh?
Well, I wouldn't put it past him to, like, if they did make the playoffs, I wouldn't put it past him to start Vladar. Oh, we need the veteran experience. What veteran? Like he has 0 playoff wins in the NHL. What?
Dude, he's got a career 890 or something like that. 893. The point I was just making with Wolf is that, yeah, an elite goaltender maybe. And you know what? You see this happen a lot with some of these teams, and it actually kind of fucks up a rebuild sometimes where you get a player who's so good, who he kind of like pushes you into a different window of your time frame.
That's the point I'm bringing up. Yeah.
So usually it's too fast, and then obviously management will overreact, and it's like, oh, sweet, it's time to. I mean, the Flames did this really, right? When Gaudreau was a rookie, like he was so good that
we just did this.
You totally overshot.
You overpaid for Travis Hamonic.
Yeah, and you were like trading for Hamilton. You're trading all these picks because
you're signing James Neal.
Yeah, and then
you end up
can
with
talk
Lucic
yourself
for 5 seasons.
Exactly, and you can talk yourself into it. Like, I mean, even at the time, a lot of those moves, like it was like they got Gaudreau, they got Monahan, like Kachuk's come, Bennett. It was like, hey, like, yeah, like this kind of makes sense, but ultimately, it kind of totally fucked you over in the end. So
then I'm glad you brought that up. This is exactly what I wanted to ask you. So Dustin Wolf playing out of his mind in a rookie season, setting franchise records already. And this, like we've talked about Dustin Wolf ad nauseum for the past year, half a year coming into the season. I mean, our biggest focus coming into the season was Dustin Wolf. We went through every single one of his awards. There's so many. It's just like this guy, everywhere he goes, he creates a wake of awards and accolades behind him. It doesn't matter what level it's at. It just seems to be, this is who this guy is. Him potentially creating a conundrum for management. It's a good problem to have. This is a great problem to have. Does Dustin Wolf speed up our rebuild? But my question to you is, how should management approach this? Because like we said, we don't want to make the same mistake we made in the past.
Yeah, I think you just approach it. You don't overreact to anything this year at all.
Overreacting being adding?
No big moves, no adding, no like, oh, you like maybe even like last year where they were like, Sharon Govich, you had a good year, big contract. Just like take a step back, focus on the draft.
No big moves. What about little moves? What about, okay, there's 12 games. How many games are remaining when it's the trade deadline?
When is the trade deadline? March?
Is it late Feb? Early March?
Brad's got a circle on his calendar.
So if you're X amount of games left approaching trade deadline and you're still in the same position we are now, we're in the bubble right there.
Dude, I love how the NHL, you can't just Google trade deadline and it like shows up every kind of NHL thing is like almost impossible to find if you need quick information.
When is the trade deadline? 2025.
See how long it takes you to find it.
Trade tracker is
March 7th, and it's on the Hockey News. So we've still got a fair ways of games to go.
That's what I was thinking. March 7th. So March 7th, how many games will we have remaining ish in the season? if we're looking at March 7th, because they played till April 7th, got a month left to play. So
it's
it's
a
10 more
long ass season.
10, 12 games left.
This is a long season.
Is there 15 games left by March 7th?
It's probably a little bit more. Probably like 20, close to 23.
20. Okay.
20-ish.
I mean, that's a pretty, there's still a big question mark with that amount of games left. So if you're Craig Conroy, you're still in the same position. You're still in this bubble, meaning you can get up into the wild card position, but you got to wait till the rest of the games play out that night to see what happens. Oh, no, we're back out again. If that's the case, and let's say your ownership,
I'm
owner. You're you though. You actually own the Flames, and you're like, or just say you're Craig Conroy. What's the extent that you would allow him to add?
If the Flames are in the exact same
position,
if the Flames are in the exact same position they are right now, within striking distance of the wildcard spot, there would be zero. There'd be zero ability to add. I'd say
you wouldn't even like green light a Brad Treliving. Oh, I want
that, dude. That's the last thing I would green light.
I want one more Rooney, and I want one more. One more.
I want to spend. We have a surplus of third round picks, and I know we just nailed our third round and got Henry Muse out of a third round, but like I'm dying for another Rooney and 25th
just for this
defenseman.
Playoff push. You need
just for this playoff push. I need it. It's not a big deal. It's a third round pick. They don't matter. Third round picks don't matter, guys. I just need another Rooney, please. There'd be zero. I would give him zero leeway, not even an inch to spend any kind of draft capital on anything.
And if you were Craig, you would tie your own hands behind your back.
Exactly. You don't do a thing unless you selling is the only you sell. You get ahead of it and you sell. You say, hey, Vladar, this guy, hey, listen to the coach. He's just as good as Dustin Wolf. You sell Nazem Kadri to the Toronto Maple Leafs. You say, Brad, listen, you need this guy for your playoff run, man. Look at him. You go take Jonathan Huberdeau. Look at him. He was over point per game in December. Look at this guy. Look at him. Look at that face on Huberdeau. Look at Kuzmenko's face.
Hey, he's bilingual.
He's having fun. He's got a nice shaved side of his head.
He's got a nice fade. That's what he's got.
A nice fade. That's what I'd be doing if I was Craig Conroy. I'd be working the phones to sell absolutely everything I could, regardless of being a point out of a wild card spot.
So let's go to this because, as you know, and as we've discussed on our podcast here, one of the biggest arguments you hear from people that don't care that Dustin Wolf's sitting on the bench half the games. Oh, you gotta up. All they're doing is increasing Vladar's trade value. That's what the play is here. You have 2 pending UFAs by end of the season. If they were potential trade chips for selling off assets and getting more draft picks, what is Vladar worth on the open market currently, and what's the ceiling? What is the absolute best you could get for him? Let's say he plays better hockey from here on to the trade deadline, and there's a perfect fit on a team where they lose a goaltender. What's the most you can get for Vladar?
Dude, he's a sub 900 goalie. I don't think you're getting jack shit unless a team is like, desperate. Okay, we have an injury concern with our backup for a playoff run. Like, what was the kid we played last night, who, of course, as soon as I saw he was starting, I was like, I don't know who that is. So we're probably going to lose this game tonight and get absolutely goalied, which of course happened. But he was traded to Nashville by Colorado, Scott Wedgwood, for Annunen and a 6th round pick. So it was just a swap of kind of like backup guys. And the kid we played last night is 24. He's younger than Vladar. I don't think there's really much value at all for Dan Vladar, other than maybe if Brad Treliving was like, I need another goalie for a playoff run.
So a 4th at best?
A 4th?
If that?
I don't think you're getting a 4th. I don't think you're getting a 4th.
What about Kuzmenko? Let's say Kuzmenko. Look, it's not like he's going to turn his season around entirely because then we might actually make the playoffs. But let's say he finishes the season with, let's say he scores 10 goals, in the second half.
10 goals. I mean, he could do it. He got hot at the end of last season.
Let's say he scores 10 goals in the second half. Well, that's a 20-goal pace. He can do that. He was at a 30-goal pace to end last season. There's some value there for a playoff team. Let's say like Kuzmenko's ending the season on a high note. What's the most you think we can get for Kuzmenko? Best case scenario and more likely scenario. Give me your two options.
It's always hard to project value, but I mean, if he's playing well, like the other thing is he doesn't make nothing, right? Like somebody's gonna have to be the teams that I feel like would be even interested in him would be have to like you. I feel like he would be like a guy Vegas would just be like, why not? Right. Like they like
Flames
guys like
could retain up to half, so no problem.
So maybe Vegas, but I
don't
think they have any room at all. Vegas would really be the only thing, or maybe like Minnesota again don't have much room at all.
Because Kuzmenko makes, was it 5.5?
I think it's 5. Yeah, it's 5.5. So really, any team that would kind of make sense, you'd have to be retaining half for sure.
Well, that's no skin off your back. Like,
there's no skin off. Maybe Boston. I don't know. Like, just these teams that have kind of been struggling to score, but it's still like, dude, he's got one fucking deal. If you watched last night as a GM, what are you giving up for what you saw? Like the thing I keep going back to is like Mangiapane got you what, a second? Mangiapane.
That's a solid hockey NHL player too.
That's a great player for a second, and he makes 5.8.
What year was that second that we got?
Well, it's a year. It was a year out from when we traded him, so it's this upcoming draft, I believe.
Okay, so we'll see who that turns into.
We don't know yet. But Andrew Mangiapane, who like even when he's not scoring, gives you, and he's playing really well this Washington. Washington's having a great season, as I predicted they would because I liked a lot of their moves. But if Mangiapane can get you a second, I don't think Kuzmeister's getting you fucking jack shit.
All right, well then you're probably just standing pat with what you got.
Yeah.
Unless you really start to dip, borderline tank, then maybe Conroy looks at Rasmus Anderson.
Chris Tanev didn't even get us a first-round pick.
Oh yeah, good point, dude. Great point.
Chris Tanev, the best defensive defenseman in the world. Did you see this thing of him lose? There's no
dude. What was that?
There's no way. There's like this. He got a puck in the face against the Islanders this week, and the video was like,
this time he didn't actually jump in front of it willingly. It just
it just kind of happened to hit him. But then the replays, like everyone's like, oh, it lost a tooth, dude. It was like a freaking undigested. He's like, bleh, and this huge thing comes out. What was that?
I don't know, man. I have no idea. But yeah, if you're listening and you did see that, I have no idea what that was.
That's how Chris Tanev like
it looked like a golf ball.
It must have been a dental thing or something. But I just imagine
it was like the size of a marble, right? It's like that's not a tooth.
Like this big.
Yeah, it must have been some sort of dental instrument.
That's how I imagine like Chris Tanev like reproduces like fearless defensive hockey player. She just like gets hit in the face with a puck and just like spits out. Here's that's like how he replicates.
Oh God.
Anyways, I don't think we're getting much for Kuzmenko or Dan Vladar. There's talk. Here's the other thing I don't understand. I don't know if we talked about this yet. Is there's talk that the Flames want to extend him?
Kuzmenko?
Vladar.
Oh, Vladar. Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised. I've been calling it.
I don't get it though. Like I just don't get it. Like he's not.
They like
well.
him.
I guess they like him. He
must want to be here. I don't know. He must want to be here.
That's all that it takes to get a contract in Calgary. You want to be here?
Yeah, you want to make a few $1 million? Do you want to
stay here?
Is number one skill testing question. Do you want to be here? Here's behind door number one. $6 million.
You want to stay with us? I feel like
can I just get my cardio in every night? Have you seen our highest paid player in franchise history? Do whatever the fuck you want.
I feel like that's really just been like the basis for signing guys since the whole Kachuk saga and everyone left is just like we have so much PTSD of like two guys being like, peace. We don't want to play here. That we're just like anybody who wants, we'll take anybody. You want to play here? You want to play? What? We're just so excited that anybody would want to play here. Even if we massively overpay them, it's just all you ever hear when we sign guys. He wants to be here. He wants to be here.
So what went into the decision-making process? Why this player? Well, first and foremost, he wants to be here. And that's kind of as far as we got with the discussion.
Pretty much it.
We were just all jumping for joy once we heard that.
We just handed him a blank check as soon as we heard he wanted to stay.
No, our next discussion was, well, how much do you think you want to make? 10.5? Sure.
Awesome.
Here you go. Oh, max term 10.5.
No movement clause, right? No, just completely bulletproof.
The thing is, did Huberdeau even want to be here?
No. Brad just made that move. Brad signed that contract purely out of spite.
Brad basically he lured Huberdeau in with some sort of Boston pizza candlelight dinner. You want to be here. It wasn't like Craig, do you want to be here? I was truly saying, you want to be here. You want to be here. Have another slice. Did he drug the pizza?
He just got him into a pizza-induced coma. Where
exactly.
It's
like you wake up and some people wake.
Now Huberdeau wakes up every single day and there's like 20 feet of snow on the ground. He's like, oh, fuck.
Some people get blackout drunk, wake up, they're like, oh, what did I do last night? Huberdeau? Wow, I had a lot of carbs. What happened? I signed a $10.5 million
8 years.
Oh, well, could be worse. I'll be $80 million richer. No biggie.
I mean, driving down Deerfoot, it's been like minus 25 here all week. Sometimes,
dude, I would do that for $1 million a year, let alone $10.5 million a year.
I don't know, man. I don't know. You don't live here anymore. You don't have to experience the day to day.
You could pay me $1 million a year to live there.
Let me just say, it would probably take about.
I would drive Deerfoot every goddamn day of winter for $1 million a year.
All I'm saying is, it would probably take about, if I was a professional hockey player, could play anywhere, $84 million is probably about where you have to be at to make me be stuck here. That's all I'm saying. So I get QB.
That's probably what it was, then, eh?
Yeah.
75,
84. Yeah. I guess I can ride this out.
I'd do it for 80.
Yeah.
I'd do it for 84. Bet365, the world's largest sports betting platform. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Download the app today. Use code NATION when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Anytime goal scorers last week. We threw Besser's name out there. You threw out O'Reilly's name. I went with Forsberg. I guess he's on the Schneid, which would have been doubly for me. He couldn't break. He almost had the empty netter, though.
Yeah, he's really on the Schneid.
Who do we got this week? We got the Ducks. We got LA. Trevor Lewis is back. Trevor Lewis.
Hey, he just played his 1,000th game.
So we got the Ducks. We got LA twice coming up. Is that just this week alone? Pull the schedule.
Yeah, Ducks on Tuesday, and then a home and home with the Kings. You're in LA Wednesday night, and then back home here on Saturday night.
Is Trevor Zegras having another bad season?
Well, he was, and then he got hurt.
Is he injured right now?
Yeah.
Man, what's going on with him, eh?
Yeah, and he's only 23, eh? You kind of forget how freaking young he is. There's a guy. See, that's a guy, if I'm Conroy, like we're talking about these centermen.
Yep.
That's a guy I'd be looking at some of these like buy low guys where you don't have to give out much, you don't have to blow your load and be like, we're going all in on somebody who's already signed to a big deal. It'd be nice to just like, those are the kind of guys I'd be looking at.
Well, that's the thing.
A reverse Sam Bennett is what I do.
Bet365, the world's largest sports betting platform. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Download the app today. Use code NATION when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. This whole Elias Pettersson thing, I mean, I don't know who was writing about it, if there's any credence to it, but the Flames name has been linked with Elias Pettersson as in showing interest. It sounded like the ask was astronomical. And I don't know, I've seen some fans are all keen, they're all in, they're yeah, do whatever you have to get him. It's Elias Pettersson. He's what, 25,
26.
So he's probably got 3 to 5 more years of dominant hockey in him, but it doesn't necessarily fit in with your 3 to 5 year window. So unless Dustin Wolf is going to continue breaking records every week this season, I don't know. Do you want to give up what you would have to give up in order to get Pettersson now? It kind of just it's almost like treading water still.
Well, it's kind of like you would. Obviously, you'd want if we got.
That's elite talent.
I'd want that, right? How many times do players like that become available? But like you're saying, it just doesn't fit the timeline of what the Flames are trying to do.
Sometimes you romanticize about players because it's kind of like we were joking about Kadri earlier on in the season. It's just show the teams the highlight packs. Don't show them the minus 18 player and all the turnovers and overtime and all this. Unless you're watching the Canucks, because let's be honest, Pettersson has been in the shithouse of the fans for how many seasons now? I'm not saying he's there right now currently, but it seems to be almost like a Line A thing, not as extreme.
Yeah.
But his name's always been linked with fan base not liking him, and it's one of those things where unless you're actually watching every single game like we do with the Flames, do we really know?
Well, and he just signed an enormous deal too, which is
the Canucks are they're in that window we want to be in 3 to 5 years from now with Pettersson currently on the team, and they have as many points as us. How is he going to? Does he move the needle for us? In I don't know. I guess might as well talk about it. It's been rumored, so
it just seems I don't know. It seems unlikely the Flames would be the team to get him because I don't think we have the assets.
Well, you'd have to give up Zari, what, 1 or 2 first?
Yeah. And the thing would be the draft picks for me. It wouldn't even necessarily be players on the team. If you're looking at it, would you rather have Zary or Pettersson? We can't overrate our own players. Connor Zary is an awesome player, but he's probably not even anywhere near as skilled as Elias Pettersson in his career. But I don't know. This just feels like not a non-starter for me, where it's just kind of what would even be the point? Even though he's an elite player, it's kind of okay, now what? We don't have.
Well, it's the vision thing, right?
Yeah, he's going to be. I don't know. Fuck, dude. It's hard to tell. It doesn't make sense when I think about it for any length of time, other than that, players like that very rarely, if ever, become available for trade, and you'd be remiss if you did just look into it at least, because he's a center, he's an elite player, he's 26. You'd be insane not to want him on your team. I don't really understand what's going on in Vancouver. So much drama, but it just doesn't make sense for where the Flames are at to be giving up what they'd have to give up, even though it would probably be worth it for the player. I don't know if it would make sense for the Flames. This isn't when Eichel was available and it was what the fuck are the Flames doing, not doing everything they can to get him, because with him we will win a Stanley Cup probably. This isn't like that. If you were the Flames 2 years ago and had the team the Flames had 2 or 3 years ago, then yeah, absolutely 100% go.
Well, because you're still technically in a window.
Yeah. You add Pettersson, what do we become? Just pretty much a bubble team still? Finishing 8th, 7th? He probably takes you from bubble playoff team to playoff team, but you're still, I don't know. I wouldn't say no to Elias Pettersson, but just if you think about it, it doesn't make a ton of sense for where they're at right now. And it seems to be very NHL, Chels thinking, be a NHL, be a GM mode. Let's get Pettersson. And I don't think Vancouver's going to be wanting to see, given all the drama and all the shit that seems to be going on, the price to trade him in division would probably be 2x of what it would be elsewhere. And like, what the fuck do we have? What do we have to offer? What do we
Sounds
have?
like they want NHL. They want like obviously there's going to be some, future asset to the deal, but like if you're Vancouver, you're kind of in your window now. So you're not going to want to
take a
trade
step
for futures. You want to stay competitive. Fuck it. One for one. Huberdeau, Pettersson. Let's do it.
Dude, did Hubie outscore Pettersson? I think he's kind of in the same. What's the point comparison? 1 for 1. The trade is 1 for 1. Jonathan Huberdeau. Hey, dude, we could do Huberdeau 50% retained for Pettersson.
Seems fair.
That's
fair. Just like the Lindholm trade was fair. This is fair.
Hey, let's send Kuzmenko back too. Huberdeau, Kuzmenko, 50% retain. 50, yeah, Kadri too. 50% retain on Huberdeau. Let's go, baby. You're just swapping out two $10+ million players for each other.
We'll basically retain half of all three guys' contract. Huberdeau will retain half. Kadri retained half.
We'll get another team in there to broker the deal. Hey, dude, Hubie's outscoring Pettersson this year. I know he's played like 5
Wait, all year?
But he's got one more point.
Pettersson's having a down season. Could you imagine if you had Pettersson scoring at a Huberdeau rate? See, this is what I mean, man. It's like, do we want Pettersson? I don't know.
Yeah, I think ultimately it doesn't. Vancouver would never trade him here anyway, so
it could be the Rick Tocchet effect, though. Like now, every night when you see Rick Tocchet's face, it's like he's always mad.
He's like Brent Sutter that year.
He's not even mad. He's just disappointed. He's always disappointed in these guys. Always.
Do you remember
there's some drama happening in Van. I don't know. Maybe they do fall. If Hughes is out for a while, Pettersson's out for a while, these guys could, I don't know, maybe it opens up a window for the Flames, but
not if we're playing Vladar every other night.
True. It always keeps coming back to that. The old so let's get into Huskins comments, because we've been making light of this. We've been making a big deal out of this. Like, this has been the main talking point all season long. Wolf, Vladar comparison. Like we've been mentioning, the media thinks it's too close to call. The coach apparently thinks it's too close to call. Or is he just sticking up for Vladar? The media finally asks Huska about it. And essentially Huska says, yeah, no, they've both been great.
Both been great.
Both been great. And what did he say they're going to keep doing?
He said, didn't he say we're going to keep doing it until somebody starts to separate, essentially?
Until someone starts to separate. Okay, the rookie has twice as many wins as the vet. Like, Dustin Wolf's record is, let's pull this up.
What's 12-6-1 now? He lost last night, unfortunately.
Posted this on January 2nd. I can't for the life of me. Can't do it. Figure out
12,
who the starter should be.
Yeah, no idea.
Dan Vladar, this was before the January 2nd. Yeah, this was before the Utah game. I keep closing the schedule, and I shouldn't do that. Just leave it open. Keep referring to it every 2 minutes.
Well, dude, it was a conversation this week so much. It was a conversation before. I was like, hey, could they give Wolf some runway here? And then he has the absolutely lights out performance against Vancouver on New Year's Eve. Fucking phenomenal. Excellent. And it was just kind of like that win kind of solidified for most people. It was like, okay, yeah, now it's time to stop going back and forth and give Wolf the net for a little bit. And even still, for the entirety of the season.
I thought it was, don't worry, it's winning you're in.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. For the entirety of the season, it has been winning you're in. And then all of a sudden.
Dude, it hasn't. It's been shared 50-50 down the middle, basically. It doesn't matter.
This is like how they do it in Pee Wee when you're in Pee Wee. Oh, everybody gets a turn. Everybody gets a turn in net. Oh. We gotta be careful with Wolf. Everybody gets a turn.
So after, okay, this is all right. Let's do this. These numbers were before the Utah game, so take that into consideration. Dan Vladar, 18 games played, 6 wins to Wolves 12 wins. That's twice the amount of wins.
Okay, verified. Yeah, 2 times. Yeah,
2 times the amount of wins. So we're just gonna keep doing this until someone separates. Okay, well, one guy's got you 12 wins, the other's got you 6.
hey, he's got the harder starts.
That's
Give him
12
a
points.
break.
There's 12 points in the standings.
Give him a break.
12 points in the standings. Here you are. You're in a wild card friggin' fight right now. And it's apparently if you're Huska, it's life or death every single night. You're gonna scratch and claw of every single goddamn point. I'm going with the guy that's got me 12 more points. If you have 3 more points right now, you're in a wild card spot. Both have 2 shutouts. Dan Vladar has a 3.02 goals against average. Dustin Wolf 2.61. How's that close? How's that considered close? How is this close?
No separation.
Dan Vladar, .900, .890 save percentage. Dustin Wolf, 914. Do we need to get into the home stats? If anything, I think, sure, if you want to make an argument, if you factor in both home and away, maybe but on home ice, dude, it's not even a separation. It's a fucking country mile, dude.
Dude, Wolf has the best save percentage on home ice in the entire league.
Gotta wait till someone separates. I mean, first, holding the best save percentage in the league, just it's not clear. It's not clear if is he actually the top in the league? I can't tell with that stat. That stat's not clear for me.
Yeah, the stat there's a lot lacks context. It lacks the fact that Vladar has
twice as many wins.
He's faced the harder competition, even though the Wolf shut out the Stanley Cup champions, has faced way more high danger chances against the Flames. Are playing way looser defensively in front of Wolf when he's
got twice as many wins. But like my notes on a daily basis just tell me how great Vladar is. Like he's playing so well.
His goals saved above expectation, which factors in because this is what we keep hearing. It's like Vladar's got the harder starts. He's got the harder. He's playing on back-to-backs. He's playing harder opponents. He's playing more on the road. Well, it's like, okay, all of those things are just like assuming the level of like, these are all kind of like arbitrary. Like, there's no proof that playing on a back-to-back is a harder start, really. There's no proof that
Vladar wasn't for the Nashville Predators.
Yeah, exactly. There's no, we just playing harder teams. I mean, Vladar's played one more team he started one more game against a playoff team than Wolf has, I think, last I checked. And if you look at the shot quality, like this is really what you can look at. Dustin Wolf, by Evolving Hockey's model, 11th in the entire league in goals saved above expectation, factoring in shot quality. So he's made pretty much 9, rounding down. Let's round up because it's 9.91. 10 goals. 10 shots that should have been goals weren't goals because Dustin Wolf was in the net. Dan Vladar, on the other hand, is in the negatives. That doesn't seem good, does it? So
I don't know. It seems pretty close. I can't figure out who.
Dan Vladar, negative.
I can't figure it out.
Negative 4.74.
It's so close. There's just no separation there.
Negative 4.74, which amongst 86 goaltenders who have played this season, where does that rank? That ranks 68th. Who's better? 68th ranked goaltender? 11th ranked goaltender.
Jeez, I can't figure that out. How many starters are in the league? How many bona fide number 1 starters are in the league?
Dustin Wolf has faced 163 high danger shots. His high danger save percentage is 828. Dan Vladar has faced 128 high danger shots. His high danger save percentage is 742. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Like 837's pretty close to 748.
So the problem being this week, it was super frustrating. And that's what we're saying is like, if you really want to make the playoffs, like how do you Explain starting Vladar in the game against Utah.
How do you explain still splitting the starts?
That's what I don't understand.
Dustin Wolf, after that win against Vancouver, which that was a great game.
That was it, dude. That was the best game of the season, maybe outside of the or the season opener.
That was a doozy. Fights. How many fights were there? Like 4 or 5 fights?
3 or 4 guys piled in the box. Lomberg fought twice. It's great. Love that shit.
After the win on New Year's Eve against Vancouver, Dustin Wolf sets the record for the fastest Flames goalie to 10 home wins.
In franchise history. It's not
clear to me who could possibly. I can't it's. I can't. Who is it? Who's a better goaltender? Dustin Wolf at home this season, 10-1-1. The guy's
10-2-1 now, but
10-2-1 now.
Prior to the Utah game, right? And that's the thing is this is what frustrated me. And I don't have a huge problem. Like everyone's out here be like, why are you hating on Vladar? What's with all the Vladar? I've never seen this before. I don't understand what's going on right now. Like, what the fuck is with half our fan base freaking out about our franchise goalie? Like, don't you want to see this kid? I don't get this. This is really weird.
These are the same people. Are these? No, this can't be the same people that want to draft. That want to tank to draft elite talent.
It's like we got it. We've got this kid right here, and you guys
don't play the. Oh, you gotta wrap the elite talent bubble wrap.
You got to be careful with them. Oh, they're just protecting him. Him.
He's 23. He's been setting records his whole life.
The guy's
you don't need to fucking bubble wrap this kid.
Exactly.
Stop it.
It's insane. Let him go for a bit here. Like, what do you think? What do you think is going through his mind? And I know everyone's like, well, he's working on stuff in between. What do you think goes through a guy like Dustin Wolf, who's competitive as Dustin Wolf, who's as locked in as Dustin Wolf, when he plays that game against Vancouver, when he's the only reason you're even in the vicinity of a playoff spot because he's been out of his mind. He sets the record, franchise record, fastest goalie to 10 home wins. He's the second fastest goalie to 20 career wins with the Flames since Mika fucking Kiprusoff.
Gotta wait till a guy separates.
And then you hear that and you're not starting the next game.
Well, and then if you listen to the broadcast, dude, it's like Huberdeau. It's like, oh, Dan Vladar. The broadcast is making a point every single night to talk about, even though Dan Vladar's numbers all suck, he's really good. Look, we know his record's not very good.
He's the only one 6 games. He's 890.
It does not reflect how good he actually is. The stats just do not tell the story. What? Give me a fucking break. What is the obsession with Dan Vladar? Yeah, it's weird. It's perplexing phenomenon.
Well, and it's perplexing too. And again, even if you want to make, well, they're doing it for this reason or that reason, it's like, okay, well, are they trying to make right? Like you're right there. And why isn't I just
there's no separation to Huska, who's been better. That just blows my mind,
right? Dude. And that's a poor coaching decision right there.
Well, and it's one of those things where
it doesn't make any sense. It makes zero sense at all. And that's why I'm just sitting here like, what? Why? Someone explain it to me. Someone make it make sense to me why Dustin Wolf didn't play against Utah. Is there any law? Is there anybody who can give me an answer?
It's the same repetitive things that have been debunked 100 times over. I mean, you went through these numbers.
Gotta be careful.
Like the amount of times that I had to share this stat.
Yeah.
The day of the Utah game, because people are like, oh, tougher competition. Okay, Dustin Wolf has faced 153.
Who's faced more high danger shots?
As of January 2nd. Well, the team just plays better in front of Dustin Wolf. Actually, he's seen way more high danger shots than Vladar. He's also stopped way more. I mean, the high danger save percentage, I mean, like you're right. If you want to, this stat alone, doesn't it not debunk all the debate?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It cuts through all the crap of you want to say, like, well, he's had tougher competition because he's played back-to-backs, he's played this, he's played that. It's like, well, Wolf's facing way harder shots every night, and he's outperformed it. That kind of
And
cuts through all
stopping
the
more
bull
of them.
crap. Yeah. And I don't even care. I don't care. I just want to see Wolf play. That's what I'm saying. We had tickets to the Utah game.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a sentimental Logs fan. It's like, it's not even Vladar shade or anything. It's just like when Wolf's not playing, it's just kind of I don't want to watch. We had tickets and we didn't go because that's Vladar starting. We're like, eh. And I was thinking about this, like, I don't think I've seen Wolf play at the Saddle Dome yet because every time I go, Vladar's in the fucking net.
Why? It's bizarre.
It is bizarre. I don't get it.
After the Utah game, this was the, I don't know, I mean, you posted this 10-1-1 at home. That's Wolf, fastest goalie in franchise history to 10 home wins. Nah, I think I'm gonna go with the guy with the career 893 save percentage. He's sub 900 this year. It's just not clear to me. There's no separation between the two goaltenders.
Yeah, and people like give us hard. Oh, do you want to play 82 games? It's like, no, but how about like 2 games in a row would be nice. 3 games in a row would be cool. 2 of every 3 would be probably good.
It's just absurd, dude. It's what it is. And it's starting to piss me off.
I mean, it's been pissing me
it's
off.
Not starting to. It's been pissing me off for a while.
It's been pissing. I've wanted to see Dustin Wolf for like 3-4. I've been like,
just start the home opener. It's been going on since game 1 of the season.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, if
Ryan Pike posted this via natural stat trick, top 5 goalies in the NHL in 5v5 save percentage, 500 minutes minimum. Number 1, Anthony Stolarz. Number 2, Connor Hellebuyck. Number 3, Philip Gustafsson. Number 4, Dustin Wolf.
We're gonna kick down. Just someone separates from the back here.
You gotta protect them. You gotta protect them. Put them in bubble wrap, eh?
Yeah, this guy is so fragile.
Just super fragile. His confidence, you just gotta keep that confidence up by not playing him.
Yeah, he gains a lot of confidence when he just sits on the bench and watches. It's the best way to build his confidence. I know we're repeating ourselves, but fuck, how are we having this conversation?
Oh, we're repeating ourselves because this is still a conversation for some odd reason.
All right, let's get to the Canucks game. We'll whip through these games. I mean, we're hitting all the main talking points. It's not the individual games per se, but there's a few things we want to pull from because, man, that Vancouver game, that was fun. Like, I didn't get to see it live because I was at a New Year's event. You were keeping me posted the game, and I'm like, Zari scores a beauty goal. Kadri scores a beauty goal from Huberdeau. There's been 4. Like, what is there's 4 fights? What is happening? It sounds like a great game. Go back and watch it. Fuck, that would have been a great game to be at. Crowd was lively. They pull out the win. There's fight. That's old time hockey right there.
Yeah, Ball fought Miller, Lomberg fought. It was great. I love that. I love more games like that, please.
Lomberg fights twice.
2 times.
Barry Barclay.
Oh yeah, Bort. He fought Bort. That's right.
Bort.
Oh,
come on, Bort.
Backlund was getting into it. Come along.
Wait, you talking to me?
Talking to me? No. My son is also named Bort. It was a great game. And Wolf played out of his mind too, which was the best part of the game for me. He was so good. And again, that's a game.
Wasn't a standout performance in the coach's mind, though.
Nah,
didn't really separate him from the other goaltender.
That's a game. That's a perfect example, right? Like the Flames, they got an empty netter, so for all intents and purposes, they score twice and they still win the game.
They win 2-1 because of the goalie.
They win 2-1 because of the goalie, because of Dustin Wolf, because Vancouver had, I think, at 5-on-5. Vancouver outchanced the Flames 3-1 high danger in the third period, and Dustin Wolf was locked in.
Jeez.
You win that game because of Wolf, and that's the pattern, right? And that's why they have banks and points, is because, like, I think against Utah, even though, okay, you only score 3 goals, right? It's tough to pin it all on Vladar when you can only muster 3 goals on any given night, but that's what's happening. And I think the best way to put it is Vladar may not be single-handedly losing you games, but Wolf is single-handedly winning you games.
Well, dude, we've been spending a lot of time on this because you have to. This has been the number one question surrounding this team all season long is how are they doing this?
Yeah.
How are they?
Such a surprise.
Why are they in this playoff spot all season long? What's like this is the big it's Dustin Wolf, period. No other reason. Without Dustin Wolf setting franchise records in his rookie season, you're in that bottom 10. You're 3 points back at bottom 10. You're in bottom 10 from start. Like if Vladar is playing it's 70% of the games, even 65% of the games, you're in bottom 10. You might even be closer to bottom 5. So there's one player alone is the reason. Yet it's a fucking mystery to even the head coach. With all that notepad taking, you think
what is he writing in his notebook?
Don't he's a play
Dustin Wolf. Is he just drawing doodles in there?
Does he not see the stats? Does he not get the information?
Well, and this is the thing. We were chatting.
Is there nobody in the Flames office giving the head coach what we just went through in 5 minutes? The Dustin Wolf separation stats. Dude, it's like they're not close at all.
Maybe they just are all on Team Tank and they know what needs to happen. But we were talking,
man. I don't care. Like you can do great things as a coach, but if you can't figure out the most important shit like this, the personnel decisions, then you're not going to be around long.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about this, saying like there's a lot of things that we like that Huska does, and he's obviously got this team playing pretty decent hockey, but just the nightly kind of like some of these perplexing like
the room for error in professional sports in these top 4 leagues in North America so slim. This will come back and bite him if he continues to not be able to figure this shit out, man. Yeah. Like he'll lose his job over it. Although the Flames franchise does seem to employ boneheads, so maybe he wants to be here.
Hey, he said he wanted to be here.
He's the best. Jeff Ward, we did a lot of research.
He's the best man for the job.
Jeff Ward, best guy available.
My favorite was when they hired Bill Peters the same summer that Barry Trotz was available, but Brad didn't like interview anybody else. It was a good one.
I liked Bill too.
Yeah, he was the first year. The second year, he kind of lost me, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Before all the shit went down, but like he was still doing some dumb shit that drove me
as a coach.
Yes. But the first year, I liked him as a coach.
Well, we were fucking awesome that first year.
Maybe we can get Dave Cameron back.
Oh my God. This guy looks like a prehistoric fucking pterodactyl or some shit.
No regrets.
The World Juniors, what a debacle, dude. What a debacle. And like the most standout thing for me, man, and I get it, like as players in professional sports, as head coaches, as general managers, managing professional sports teams, yeah, you want to drown out the noise. But not all fans are stupid. Not all fans, think they know what they're talking about. There's actually fans know what they're talking about.
Well, yeah.
And you have actual analytic, like, people online. Like doing legitimate work that are like before, like when they announced the Team Canada roster. The number one thing I saw with like people like Ken Wilson and Western Hockey Scout and Byron Bader were like, the team that didn't get invited could beat the team invited. I saw that from all those guys, and those guys they're very professional. They don't like mince words, and they don't exaggerate. Like they literally wouldn't say the team that didn't get invited could beat the team that got invited because of any other reason other than that's a fact. And sure enough, they can't fucking. It was like watching the Flames. Can't score.
Are you surprised? Are you surprised? It is funny though, like you bring that up because I was thinking that watching that it was like because That's like a boomer, like when you're arguing with people online, like any boomer jumps to be like, well, the coach agrees with me. You think you're an armchair GM? You think you can manage the team any better? It's like, yeah, actually, there's a lot of smart people online. And funnily enough, I think a lot of people actually could make some better decisions than a lot of these boneheads in the stupid hockey groups go.
Oh, let's start with Oregon.
How about if we just made
Insane.
that one decision? We'd have more points.
Yeah, we're not going to bring Perek because he's got, or Mute or any of these guys. We want a team with character. Oh, you lost to Czechia in the fucking quarterfinals?
Dude, you lost to Latvia.
Latvian, what the that's?
You lost to Latvia. And then
And
here-
any
the
regrets?
biggest-
No
Yeah,
regrets.
that's the thing, eh? It's just like
Nope. Not
the
a
only
one.
thing worse than making a terrible decision is denying it after the fact. Could you at least admit you need to go back to the drawing board and maybe do some self-analysis?
Nope.
I can't remember who it was, but we're talking about the World Juniors. One of the analysts, it was on TSN. They do a good job, obviously, because you got Bob McKenzie up there. You got real good hockey minds up there. And they were talking about how the last few tournaments, like you lose to Czechia last year and this year. And it's just like at some point, Hockey Canada diverted from what was their stand pat approach to building hockey teams, because at some point they were just like, you know what? Let's go by this standard that skill adapts. Should we try and make a standard, playoff team where you got 3 lines and third line's checking line, this, or should we just pick the best players? And so when Team Canada was making decisions based on skill adapts, let's get the best player. Let's get the 23 best players. Who are the 23 best players? Not trying to build some character team that's gonna. You can't even fucking score. You lost to fucking Latvia. And then you got Dave Cameron back there. Guy looks like dude, the guy looks like a corpse up there.
Oh, you're telling me the guy who like endlessly put out the Brouwer play does it as stubborn as shit? I like how when you look up all these. I like how when you look up all these coaches, and it's like their last NHL job was like always with the Flames. It's like we're always the last team to like hire them, right? Like this always happens, except with Gulletson, who like freaking somehow weaseled his way into the McDavid sphere, eh? And now takes credit for everything. Yeah, I'm a brilliant hockey mind.
Wow, look at that power play, coach.
I saw somebody, I think it was on Jason Gregor's show. It was somebody said that they had a note from a scout saying they wouldn't let Dave Cameron run a McDonald's drive-through.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, that's the guy. Of course, he's the guy who ran our power play for 2 years.
Dude, the guy just looks incompetent.
Anybody who's a Flames fan could have told you this. Go watch the Brouwer play. My son says your company stinks. You couldn't smooth a silk sheet. That's what I think of you, Dave Cameron.
The guy just looks ill.
Anyways, what an absolute debacle. And hey, should have taken Zane.
Zane, Muse. Well, there's 4. Wasn't there 4 top 10 picks?
Stenicate, Green Tree, all these guys who can score goals.
I know Tej was injured anyways, but Tej. How are the prospects doing this week? Now that we're on the topic.
Well, frick, dude, the talk of the town has been
Muse is still lighting it up, eh?
Oh yeah, he's skyrocketed to tops in the OHL defenseman scoring 49 points in 36 games. I mean, Parek's on a heater too, but dude, like, this is what I'm like, a 3rd round pick, Henry Muse.
Oh, we don't need a 3rd round pick.
What do you need a 3rd round pick for? It's like shooting dots at a dartboard. You never need them.
What was Rass? Is he 3rd round?
Rass is 2nd round pick.
2nd rounder?
Dude. Some of these kids are legit. It's pretty crazy. That's what I keep saying. Is like, you think, oh, Erasmus Anderson, let's sign a 3rd. He's going to be 30 when his contract. Think of the children. Think of the kids we have. And I think Gradin had a really good week. He had 3 goals. Think of the children. Matvey Gradini had a really good week, but Zane Parekh, 2 assists on Saturday. He's got a 4-game point streak rolling. The guy is just getting freaking started, man.
Well, and he's, like you said, he was kind of trolling the Team Canada there online.
Oh, yeah.
Good old troll job. All right, man. Let's finish these games and we can kind of finish our points, wrap things up here. But like I said, that Canucks game. So it was Lomberg fights Brunstrom. Was it Brunstrom? I think first.
Yeah, I think that was it.
The young D-man. Forward didn't like that, so he ended up fighting Forward after as well. You had Ball fighting Miller.
Dude, that was sick.
Card.
Yeah, it was kind of a lame fight, but I love that. Kevin Ball.
And then who was the other one? There was one more, wasn't there?
Well, Coleman tried to get into it with was it Miller? No, it wasn't Miller. It was somebody else. But Lomberg fought again. Lomberg fought
Barry Barkley aboard.
Yeah, Lomberg fought forward again. Forward. So 2 from Lombo, a fight from Ball, and Coleman kind of tried to get into it with Desharnais, that big lug who used to play in Edmonton.
Yeah, but that was just a scrappy game, man.
Great game. Love games
just
like
a
that. And that's what I'm saying. And then cruising it is a great New Year's Eve game, right? Like, it's great. The goalie played great. Huberdeau played great. Kadri played great. You got all this momentum. Zary played great. Sharon Govich maybe looked like you. And then you don't start Wolf. It's like you had all this. To me, the Utah game, like we could look back at the season and be like, hey, that's the moment when it kind of like, because the coach didn't make the right goaltending decision. You had all this momentum. It's like, now's the time to start cranking it up, right? Now's 100%. The time. Now's the time to crank it up. Bank some points. It's like we got you. Like you should have beaten Utah.
There's a clear separation between the 2 goaltenders. Clear.
Yeah. That was the moment to be like, okay, we're done with this dumb, we don't know shit. And okay, it's time to ride Wolfie a little bit. And whatever you think about like his development, tiring him out, all this shit, he's absolutely on fire at that point, right? Setting records. The vibes are great. It's New Year's. You got to ride him at some point. You got to ride your hot hand. That's something Huska has trouble with, is riding the hot hands.
I think he has a trouble identifying the hot hands.
Must be.
So it's not the first time we've seen it this season.
Yeah. Like that was the time to make the switch and be like, hey, Wolfie's getting a run here.
The Huberdeau line and the Huberdeau-Kadri connection continues their hot December in that Vancouver game. That was a nice goal.
That was sick.
That was classic Huberdeau finding Kadri in the slot, but if you break that one down, it's possible still driving the net, opens up the whole lane there.
Yeah.
He's been really effective with those 2.
Great breakout play from Uyghur too. But yeah, that's what everybody's wondering. How did Kadri and Huberdeau play so well together after zero chemistry? I think it's the Pospisil effect. He's so fast and does a lot that you don't maybe pay attention to.
The other thing out of the Utah game I wanted to bring up was Coronado setting up Bahal. And we talked about this on Afterburner last night. I want to see Zary and Coronado together. I know Coronado, some people I don't think give enough credit for his playmaking ability.
No. Or his overall, just what he does in all 3 zones on a nightly basis.
Yeah. I don't really look at his underlings too much, but you compare that to like a Sharon Govich player where it's just like, Sharon Govich doesn't really touch in the game at all unless it ends up on the back of his stick into the back of the net, which you'll take if he can do it consistently.
Yeah.
But you can see like Coronado reminds me kind of like a Mangiapane, where he's got better finishing when it's all said and done. I think he's even a bit of a better playmaker. But he works his balls off. He touches all 3 zones.
He had obviously the Pahal goal he set up.
Dude, that was so skilled. I mean, if you to set up plays, especially in the NHL, man, because the time frame in which to execute is the shortest time frame of in the world. Obviously, it's the fastest level there is in the world. But I mean, if you go from playing in any other league to the NHL, it's like there's less time. So I mean, for him to execute that play, because if you watch it, Coronado. You got to have vision. And we saw a play last night against the Preds. Oh, no, sorry. It was actually the World Juniors. The Cowan guy?
Yeah.
You see that play? It was a 2-on-1. I don't even know if the guy saw the other guy there.
No.
Like, you got to have vision. Coronado, like, first off, he's got vision to execute, to even see the play developing. But he executed it so fast, it just tells me that he saw the play developing, knew what he was going to do as soon as he got the puck, because it was a puck on the stick, then he deked and dished. It's like it happened so fast. The processing mentally for him to already know what he's going to do before doing it and then executing it. Pahal had a fucking wide open net, dude.
Well, and he draws like all four defenders. Number one, it's a great forecheck. Like he creates that turnover. He forces a turnover with that absolute, like he's working his balls off on the forecheck. But then, like you said, all four defensemen looking like right in his area. And not only the speed to make that move, but to be able to put that right on his tape with four defenders draped all over you. Like, what a play, dude. That was sick.
Yep. I want to bring that up because this guy doesn't get enough credit.
Well, and he forces the turnover on the Backlund goal last night, too.
Yep. The Backlund goal last night, the only goal the Flames scored, he doesn't get an assist on it, but we talked about it on Afterburner. The pucks were coming around rimming to break out, I think. Was it a breakout pass? Up to O'Reilly. And he sneaks up behind O'Reilly, lifts his stick up so that it goes past him, goes to Backlund buries. That, for all intents and purposes, should be an assist for Coronado. He doesn't get credited for one. But, man, this guy is he's not just a goal scorer.
Yeah, he's a great player, especially in the offensive zone lately. Been fantastic. And, dude, he's fucking dropping the mitts now?
Dude.
Holy shit. Who is this kid? They don't call him the fucking Bison for nothing. Fuck, I love this kid. He's my favorite player. It's like Wolf and him. I love Connor Zary. I love some of these. But, dude, it's Coronado. Dude. As soon as he dropped the gloves last night, I was like, whoa, shit.
All right. I was kind of in shock. I was just glad. It was funny because they zoomed in on Marchessault's face after the fight. And he was like, He kind of doing like,
not bad.
He must have some sneaky strength. I mean,
dude, he's strong as shit. They call him that's what they call it. He's like strong as an ox, man.
Well, you can see him winning all the battles and fucking working his balls off. It was that play against Utah where he did the back check.
Yeah.
And I remember we cut to the broadcast and they're like, oh yeah, usually when a player turns the puck over, he's the fastest one to get back. And then they show the replay and they're like, oh, I guess he didn't turn it over.
He didn't turn it over?
No, he just was there.
Remember when Huska said his skating was okay, but he like gets tired fast?
Fuck off, Huska. Dude, Huska cost us 2 points against the...
Yeah, dude, seriously. Like, you can boil it down. That loss is on him for not starting.
The Utah loss.
And it's not even to blame Vladar. It's more like the coach made the wrong decision.
At this point, when it's this fucking clear to this many people, that's squarely comes down to a coaching decision. Coach cost you 2 points.
Yeah.
The Sharangovich Zary Pelch line is starting to look better and better, hey?
They were really
good. Canucks, Mike Gould posted this after the Canucks game. That line posted a 5v5 expected goal for percentage of 96.85, which is insane if you know anything about this stat.
They were really well. I think
they outchanced the Canucks 12-0 that night.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Eh?
I don't know. It didn't really separate themselves from the rest.
Zary separated himself from like,
we'll wait till see some separation before we make any changes in that regard.
That's so stupid.
We'll give Hubie a little bit of credit. Gould posted this as well. Jonathan Huberdeau in December 2024, 12 games played, 8 goals, 15 points, 56.915 V5 expected goals for, 57.92 Corsi for, 94-76 on ice chances. PDO was 956. What's PDO?
It's like a proxy for kind of luck. It's just on ice shooting percentage plus save percentage. So If
It
it's
was high?
high, it's kind of like, he's like riding a shooting percentage bender. If it's low, it's kind of like
Well, it
maybe
makes
he's a bit
sense, dude.
unlucky,
Everything was
so,
going in. Everything was going
Yeah.
in for him last month.
Hey, he was pretty good. That's what I'm saying. Pedersen for Huberto, 1-for-1, baby.
But hey, is he back? The TSN turning point last night was when he couldn't bury on the breakaway.
I don't think he's back.
No, like back to being the Hubert of old.
No,
Flames old.
I don't think there is a Huberto of old. That guy's doesn't exist anymore.
No, I mean like the Huberto we've become accustomed to.
I
Is
see.
that Huberto back?
Well, we'll
is the
see.
Hubie we know? and
So that's
hate
going to be the
back?
new one, right? Now, oh, he's back when he doesn't score in December or in January.
Exactly. He's back, baby. January 1, Rory Kearns scores 2 goals. Another 2-goal game. Again. We got to see this guy.
Well, we have to see this guy when when the guy like Rooney is playing.
If we don't see this guy in
and he can't
January,
fucking
man,
score.
if we don't see this guy sometime in January, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
Well, again, like here, like you can't score goals. Why? This was like a thing with Matt Phillips, and ultimately Phillips didn't turn it. But it was like so frustrating. It's like we can't fucking score. Why don't we just try the AHL's leading scorer just for a little bit? Could we at least try it? What's the harm in this? Trying it.
There's literally no harm.
Especially when you've got Kuzmenko not doing jack shit. Rooney doesn't do jack shit on any given night. You're carrying 458 defensemen, 2 of whom never play. Like
you already have you got 2 AHL players in there already. Like you can't swap them out for a 1 game. It's not gonna hurt anybody's confidence.
Still leads the league. Still leads the AHL in goals. 21 goals, 33 games.
And
second in points.
At this point, too, not only is it again, it's this double-sided thing of like it doesn't make sense on either side, Huska. It's like it doesn't make sense for Wolf's development and the future of this team and the direction that you guys say you're heading to, and it doesn't help you win to play Vladar. So pick your poison. Like it's like either way you slice it, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And like it's gonna fall into the same category with Cairns as like at some point now, you send a message to your organization that we don't give a fuck if you're leading the league in scoring. It's not worth it. You could lead the league. Leading the league doesn't warrant a call up. So what kind of message does that send? Like at the end, at some point, then now you're detrimenting player development because you're sending a message that you could have an outstanding, even if you have an outstanding season, it doesn't mean jack shit.
Well, this is something they did well last year, and I think it's why you saw Pospisil and Zeri pop and play so well. It was like, if you play well at the AHL level, you're going to be rewarded pretty quickly, and they cycled through a lot of different guys. And I'd like to see that this year. We haven't seen it, and it's kind of been annoying, to be perfectly honest. And again, like you're saying, these things can help the team. We can all coexist, right? We can have our cake and eat it too at this point where, hey, it's best for Dustin Wolf and the team for him to be playing against Utah because he's going to give you the best chance to win. And it gets him into some more games to develop him better and more properly. You can't score a fucking goal, and we want to see some kids play. Bring up the leading scorer in the AHL. It's going to be good for everybody.
Like Kevin Rooney is a replacement level player.
Oh, dude, I think
you could bring up anybody from the AHL.
What's he doing? What's he doing on this team right now? The penalty kill, which he's a big part of, sucks ass. I don't get it.
One person's comment on the Karen thing was, "Oh, so what? Play on the 4th line?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember when fucking Mangiapane, Derek Ryan, and Garnet Hathaway was like the best 4th line of all time?
Best
the
line,
reason why we actually made the playoffs that season?
The only line that was good in the playoffs that season? They were great.
Yeah. So bring them up. All right.
You're telling me Kuzi wouldn't like maybe have I play Kuzmenko on the 4th line with Cairns and Lomberg? Then I mean that would be a lot of fun to watch.
Again, man, some of the stuff just seems like it's a no-brainer. Is why it starts to get real frustrating over time.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's wrap things up with this. Did you see this? Taylor Hall on the most recent Spitting Chicklets podcast was asked who he thought was an underrated player. One of the players he mentioned was Connor Zary. This is Ferry Sharkey on Twitter posted this. You haven't found it yet, or did you find it?
I didn't find the clip itself because There was no timestamp. But good Taylor Hall, Calgary boy, giving respect to Calgary's, I guess. How much? Why don't we sign Taylor Hall? I've always wondered this. I'm one of these guys. I like when guys come back. We never really have any hometown guys. I'd like to see the Flames maybe get him in it. I'd like to see him in a Flames jersey. Imagine Zary and Hall running side by side. That'd be sick. But hey, man, he's right. And hey, in between Ron McLean glazing, Oilers doing his Oilers glazing, Connor Zary is starting to get some respect in the league, right? People are starting to realize how skilled this kid actually is.
He's flipping pancakes every night.
Dude, this is crazy that he keeps doing this. I mentioned this last night, but it's like he's doing some of these things that like you never see. Like we talked about it. Who does this? The fuck is he? This is insane. He's freaking just every night. I'm just gonna do this zone entry with.
Yeah, it's what it is.
What
zone
the
entry.
fuck?
Pancake flipping zone entry.
Yeah, you're gonna have to create a new category when you're tracking zone entries. It's just like controlled entry while fucking flipping the puck. Zary, like 68 flipping puck zone entries per 60 minutes. It's crazy.
Well, you used to see Gaudreau do this in the warm-ups where he's like flipping it up to the rafters, but I haven't seen a guy doing this in game almost on a nightly basis now. And he like chokes up on the stick. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just like it's very cool. He had a few dangles this week, so I agree. Connor Zary, super underrated.
And somebody else commented too, like, why would I find this and listen to it? Because apparently he said some cool things about Zary. All right, man. We got Anaheim and LA twice this week. Again, we don't know where we're at. Are we in a pendulum swing to the losing side of the column here? We'll see what happens this week. I don't know. We're like I said, it's the parity mid right now is very strong. So if we have one bad week, we might be coming back on this thing next week in a bottom 10 spot. Like it could easily go that way. LA is good. Anaheim's playing good.
One can only hope, even though I'm kind of getting into the point of like, or at the point of no return where I have to hope for playoffs because.
Not yet, dude. It's too early.
Okay.
Let's give it to at least, I think you got a final week of January. And then we decide by Feb 1 if we're on full in on team playoffs or not.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long-form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.